Fun. All right. Welcome to What Are You Thinking podcast. Now, this is going to be a podcast about the stupidity of people in our politics in the United States and poking fun at both political parties. Because there seems to be a lot of lack of critical thinking that's been going on by both sides at this point in time. I'm Bernard, and I have my co-host here, Rob Carpenter.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So, a little background on both of us. We both went to Western Connecticut State University, where we first met at the radio station WXCI. We did some public programming there with the Advocate Show and got heavily involved with the political scene at the university, which is a state university, and we have our quirks and ways around us. I got involved with politics, have been on some Democratic campaigns, ran for one office in my town. And I didn't get elected. I know more about the back end of campaigns than most people would care to realize. I could probably tell you who you're going to vote for just based on your location, age, date, party registration, and that includes any party registration, and and probably without ever talking to you, and your propensity to actually vote. Now, my co-host here, uh, Robert Carpenter, is a
Yeah,
interesting character. 19
yeah.
years in the military,
Yep.
lost half his ass in Iraq. Sure, we're going to get canceled for that one. Um, and knows how to get things done. So, uh, without further ado, what
Yeah,
is the
we're
first
gonna
topic?
have later on, we're gonna have some interviews with people coming up. So
Okay, we
people,
have interviews scheduled with some unusual folks, as I would like to call the. I would say the bread and the people that make the sausage.
yes.
And that's the people you really want to listen to because those are the people that actually know how to pull the levers of power. And without confirming some of these folks' names, let's just say they've both been appointed by Democrats and Republicans and have both been highly confirmed by both of them.
Yep.
And those are the people that are now getting upset, now getting angry, and now this is the crisis moments in America because they're actually saying, what are they thinking? And we need to actually step up to the plate and actually do something.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna start off with every episode, we're gonna have one or two topics. And right now, the big topic is, of course, the shutdown of the government. So we're gonna touch on that. Then some little bit of military going on.
Aren't they shooting missiles in California or something like that? Okay, that's just great. We're just starting to bomb ourselves
Yeah.
now. That's a hmm, could be problematic.
Yeah, just a little bit. Not
Yes.
much. Just a tad bit.
Oh, wait a second. The government shut down from lack of funding, but we're spending how much in missiles?
We have okay. So let's get on to this government shutdown.
The oxymoron of the two
Yeah.
things coming together. We're now what in week three of this thing at this point.
Yeah.
We're on track to do more than we did the last time with the Trump administration, which was
Yeah.
30.
And of course, there's no end in sight because both sides aren't talking.
I would say that I would concur with that. I would say both sides aren't talking, but the Democrats have basically made it very clear they want one or two things to kind of make the thing, which is basically let's not increase people's premiums any further.
Yeah.
And considering how the economy is tanking, I think they might be right on this. And especially when you see Marjorie Taylor Greene go like, yeah, they're kind of right.
You
The,
know, my
that's
thing is this this is actually the first time I've seen the Democrats have a backbone and actually stand for what they believe in. Because
Yep.
they the Democrats usually just crumble and
Mm,
give in.
yeah, they can't give in on this one issue because if they, let's say your premiums go up by a couple 100%,
Yeah,
most people are going to lose healthcare insurance. It's going to create a medical debt crisis, which is then going to create a financial crisis, which leads to a depression.
yeah, they're talking about your premiums doubling and tripling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and geez, we can barely pay bills now.
Yeah, and I live in Connecticut, and we're kind of insulated a little bit more from this kind of nonsense. But I know you're down in Florida,
Yeah.
which is a different ball game. Let's just
Yeah.
say for some to just give people a reference about why I'm kind of more insulated from this in Connecticut. The highest per capita of lawyers are in Lower Fairfield County in Connecticut in the country. So yeah, they generally do not tend to mess around too much in this state when the federal government tends to do these things.
Yeah, and we have an open door policy pretty much.
Yeah,
It no, I would say it depends on the administration if we have an open door policy to the government or not, to the federal government or not.
yeah, no, I would say that would be more correct. It also depends on what the administration in Florida is at that point in time,
Yeah.
too. Um, I would say the following: the Connecticut is unique in how it handles things, in that it's quiet, but if you piss the wrong people off, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits and a lot of money thrown at the problem.
Oh yeah. It's now the way I look at it, if if you could look at the response of ICE in Connecticut towards any other city they went into or state they went into, you would understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, and ICE in Connecticut has basically been like, we'll do a little bit more, but we're not going to really kind of do anything else because we don't need more lawsuits.
Yeah.
Um, and the problem is in Connecticut is that they had the money to back it up.
Yep.
Um, I guess to give people a little bit of a clue about what I mean by that is that if you look at a map, you'll see an expressway that starts in Norwalk, US 7, and it immediately ends near Wilton. And then it turns back into an expressway when it gets to Danbury and kind of finishes up around New Milford. Well, the lawyers fought the expressway and won in the 70s, and they fought the city, not the city government, the state government, and won. Yeah. No, these folks know what they're doing down there. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the reason why you hear the occasional story. I guess recently they rounded up some people from a car wash in Hamden, and that was the front page news, and it was only a few people. They're not even trying. I do some rest at the courthouse in Danbury, and it was like, yeah, you got your couple, now get out. You
Yep.
know, you're trying to go to our schools. Yeah, we'll see you in court, and you better have a judge's warrant signed when you show up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Connecticut's not playing around. Now in Florida,
Where we
um,
have alligator Alcatraz.
yeah,
Ah.
yeah, um, which goes back to my theory about Florida. Now, I was going back to the shutdown. I know we kind of
Yeah.
strayed away from that for a moment. Um, we are now shooting off missiles in our country, at our country, when we have no money. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene agreeing with the Democrats on with healthcare, and I think that's partially because two out of her three children are now on the exchange and would have much higher premiums next year if she doesn't get this passed through.
Yep.
Strange how um, what's the word I'm looking for? It's strange how the Republicans all of a sudden seem to realize that when they have financial implications, when it's affecting them directly, that they're more than happy to vote for these programs.
Oh yeah, when they have skin in the game, then it's a whole different story.
Yes. And I think and I think the Democratic states need to do a little bit better job of pointing that out to them. You
Yep.
know, if it wasn't for Connecticut, California, New York, Pennsylvania, Miss with Minnesota, what are Democratic states there are? Washington, Oregon, uh, Colorado is kind of an interesting case. Um, you know, most of the East Coast and West Coast, the red states would be hurt. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh yeah.
uh, you know, as I like to put it, they have to. There needs to be the United States can't survive and fracturally. It has to be together. Otherwise, it's a problem. You know.
Oh yeah.
Well,
See, what he's talking about is these democratic states are putting more into the coffers, and these Republican states are taking more out of the coffers than they're getting in. So the Democratic states are pulling in more money for the federal government and for all these programs that they have going on than the red states. And the red states are using a whole lot more of these services.
and I think also too is that when I may take the unpopular position with the shutdown, saying if they're truly shut down the government, they really need to be you know toeing the line. I'm kind of getting the impression now they are picking and choosing of what sectors they want to shut down the government.
Oh yeah.
And now the economic data is not coming out as of October 1st, like it was supposed to. The banks are getting concerned. Wall Street's getting concerned that there's no good third party broker of information. And this is kind of what gets lost in the sauce with the government shutdown. Yeah, it can go on for 1 to 2 weeks, maybe three, maybe four. But eventually, what's going to end up happening is that the government provides information to both sides of a business transaction, excuse me. And that is inherently a good thing for businesses because it means that they have a neutral third party that doesn't have skin in the game. You know, I would say it's like this. Let's use NOAA, for example, the National Weather Service.
Yeah.
Um, what department is it located in the federal government, Darnell?
Well, I, I hate to say it, but you,
Come on, you know what your department is. You know which department it's located in, right?
yep. It's just,
The Department of Commerce,
yeah, but
not
that,
Department of Interior,
but it's
because that's how
that's
much.
a special case. Uh,
Right.
It's
But I'm pointing this out because one of the first international treaties that was signed, was about weather patterns, about sharing weather data for sailing in the 1800s. I know you're shaking your head like I'm
yeah.
going off on a tangent, and you're kind of going like, "What the hell?
No,
Where is
no,
he
no.
going?"
I understand. No, I'm
And
good.
and
It's just what they're I'm thinking about what they're actually doing to the Noah.
right, they're stripping it of
Yeah.
all the good scientists, and and that's part of the problem is. And as you being former military, you probably understand this better than most. Does military actually think global warming is a hoax or real? Please answer that question.
Of course it's real. But the thing
Okay.
is,
Are
like
they planning for this?
when they strip away the scientists from NOAA, it affects the military because we go by the weather forecast. If we, I don't want to say, when we go to war,
Yep.
we're highly dependent on the weather forecast and what happens with the weather. So we need these people. It's it's like for security purposes.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
just so you can know if it's going to rain or snow or sleet or whatever.
yeah.
We also need it for security purposes.
I maybe a good example of this is the how during World War II, how much there was a fight over in Greenland and Iceland about establishing bases. So this way, you knew what the weather was going to be in Europe a few days before your enemy did. And
Yep.
that's the reason why Nazi Germany and the United States and kind of got into it in that theater up there a little bit. Um, I think the other thing that needs to be brought to people's attention is, when you talk about this, aircraft in commerce. Right now, we're not paying our air traffic controllers. Um, hmm. All right, so planes are getting delayed. That means it's just not passenger planes.
Oh
We're
no,
talking
cargo
freight.
planes, yeah.
And how much, you want your Amazon package in 1 day or less or 2 days? Well, in general, it gets put onto a plane somewhere.
Yep.
And if it's being delayed, it's probably being delayed because of um right now planes aren't taking off.
Yep.
You know, this government shutdown is affecting commerce in many different ways that most people it will you probably won't see it and for about another week or two.
Yeah, because now everything is stocked. Every what happened, the reason why we ain't gonna see it immediately is because when he started playing with these tariffs, people started getting stock in faster before overstocking before the
Right.
tariffs hit. But what you're going to see is once these stocks start dwindling,
And now there's no place, and then you can't get them because
yeah,
there's nobody at the ports of entry to do the inspections or to do the controlling for air traffic to land the planes.
yeah,
Yeah, this is going to be a problem. You know, but I hate to say this, but what are they thinking? You know, it's there's a lack of critical reasoning skills of thinking at the administration at this point.
it's well, there's a lot more than that, but
Well, I'm just saying,
yeah,
it's a lack of
it
critical
caused the
thinking skills
shutdown.
that
Yeah.
are just not they're not simply. I hate to say it. I don't think some of the people in the White House could answer the following question: what is 2 plus 2? Okay, I just honestly don't think they could answer that question. And I get going to the government shutdown. I don't see any end in sight. I think the Democrats have a legitimate, asking question of like, you're kicking us to the curb all the time. You want our help for this one thing, and you're demonizing us. Why should we get it off our hands and actually do something
You
for you?
know what? If the I would like to see the Democrats beat the fact that we gave 20 billion to Argentina
Yeah, yeah. While the government was
and
shut down,
while the government was shut down, and they're talking about doing another 20 billion to them.
where's this money coming from? The government shut down. There's no
Yeah.
money.
So if they have money to help somebody else's another country's economy, why can't you use that money for our healthcare?
Right. Or better yet, they claim to be American first,
Yeah.
and they're spending on other countries. They
Yep.
cut USA packages, which inherently hurt America, and because Oh, where do we buy the food stuff from? Oh, the American farmer. Oh, that this is kind of a problem. I
Yep.
don't think they really, with Elon Musk, they didn't really think about what they were doing and what they were cutting and what the downstream effects were going to be.
But see, when they started cutting all this stuff, they secretly, without saying nothing, started begging people to come back.
Yep.
And again, that's the messaging on the Democrat side. That's what's killing me about the Democrats.
Yeah. I would say the following. Okay. The Democrats need to get back to the good old days of when they were in charge and saying the messages that I hate to say this, we're going back about 100 years now. Uh, FDR was right. Okay.
Yep.
Um, you know, what did FDR do with Social Security? It's its own separate line item on your payroll deduction.
Yep.
You think that any politician is going to be able to kill Social Security after that's been on your payroll deduction for how many years that you've been working in the workforce? You've been getting taxed on Social Security since you had a job.
Yep.
I remember my first paycheck when I was 16 or 15 years old, 16 years old, and it had Social Security being taken out of it at that point,
Yeah.
along with Medicare.
Everybody. Everybody.
So give me a break. We all pay into the system, and you got to be good stewards of it. I know this sounds like
They,
two people that's ranting and raving here, but
but
I
see,
think this is
when I would say 40 or 50 years ago, when you had a career, you had a pension. So Social Security wasn't as heavily leaned upon, but
correct.
now with these, since we got rid of that system and went to this
401k
401k
system.
system,
In a
people
401k
be,
system makes sense in some respects, but it's putting a lot of management in the individual, and that is, I
yeah,
don't know. Okay, people in Connecticut are a little bit more well educated and stuff. They probably can handle it. I'm kind of looking at the rest of the country, and I'm
exactly.
downfall on the rest of the country. I'm going like a person with a high school education is supposed to manage by themselves a large and complex financial instrument.
Yeah. It's
Um, yeah, I don't.
that's why
It's not,
we lean so heavily now, Americans lean so heavily on Social Security
yeah,
because they can't manage
their own money.
yeah, it's
I'd rather
I'm
have
not saying that they're stupid. It's just so complex.
right. The world is changing so much, and I have a master's degree, and I'm overwhelmed nowadays.
Yep.
Okay, I have a bachelor of science in meteorology and a master's in history. I know what I'm looking at when I look at a lot of this stuff, and I go like, this is getting a little out of hand, you know. And I'm looking at, and then they talk about cryptocurrency and all this stuff
Yeah.
and blockchain.
Come on.
I'm like, okay, I understand the concepts of it, but then I look at the younger generation that's coming up, you know, and they're just screen time this, screen time that. They don't necessarily do a lot of critical thinking for
You
themselves at some
know,
level.
speaking of, I'm going to get off topic real quick. So I'm a substitute teacher. I'm going to get
Like
my
if they're
math.
letting you teach the youth of America.
The reason why I did it is because I'm so disgusted with what is going on with our education system. And I I see it firsthand because these the technology is teaching our kids nowadays.
Yeah, I
I
would
go
just
into a
concur.
classroom, I sit down, I look at what is on a plate for the day. Oh, go on a computer and do what they call Khan Academy for math. Go on a computer and do multiplication.com and this and that on the computer. And what happened to chalk and blackboard and a teacher?
Well, okay. So down in Florida, I'm not sure what the requirements for to be a teacher is. Um, However, I do know in Connecticut, you do have to have a master's degree within 5 years of accepting the position after you get your 4 year degree for teaching. Okay. I know in some states that shall remain nameless, you only need a high school diploma.
Listen, I got, well, I do have a master's, but it's not
No,
in
no,
education.
you're substitute teaching.
Yeah. But
I'm saying the
in
actual
when I
day-to-day teacher.
when I said, you know what? Because just 2 months ago, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go back to school and get my teaching degree. I said, what do I need to do that? Oh, you have high school diploma? I said, yeah. Okay, well, you got to sit for this test. I said, for a teaching degree? So yeah, you just have to know your basic arithmetic and writing and all that.
Okay, so I guess Florida's one of those states. Yeah. I find this quite problematic. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
And again, they want to get
I know.
Board of Education. Like, yeah, let's get rid of that. What the hell? I mean,
Oh no, Department of Education.
Department of Education. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
The Department of Education does a little bit more than just education, which most people don't
I
realize.
mean, why can't we have, like, back to the teachers? Why can't we have it standardized of what you need to do to become a teacher around the country?
Because we're in a federal government system where the some of the powers are remained within the state and not enumerated within the Constitution. So, in order to have a standardized educational program in this country, you would have to actually physically amend the Constitution or do it how you got the 21 drinking age, which is tie all your federal funding to it, and you kind of force the states to do that because they
Yep.
have the option of not raising the drinking age,
Yep.
but they lose their federal highway funding.
Yep.
So I think that's
Because
one way this the federal government has kind of twisted the hands of the states at some level. But at some level, we're beginning to, I think, as a society, move into a different direction. You
yeah,
know,
it's the dumbing down of America. I'm sorry.
I I would say not the dumbing down. I would say it's the re-education of America and the revaluation of America.
Yeah.
You know, because I would say this: a few years ago, Pratt and Whitney, I think it was, decided to move their jet engine manufacturing down to the Carolinas somewhere. Because it was cheaper, labor was cheaper down there, blah 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 blah, and they didn't have to deal with the union in Connecticut.
Yep.
A few years later, they come back to Connecticut because they couldn't get anybody to work 7 days a week in North Carolina, because in the Carolinas, because they all wanted to go on their 3 day hunting trip. They couldn't, the quality dropped off. And so they had to come back to Connecticut because it was the only place where they could get workers that were skilled, educated, and knew what they were doing.
Yep.
And people wonder why it costs so much to build parts for the military. Well, there's your answer.
Yeah. You need to actually have a skill.
Right. It's like in Connecticut, we don't build the chips. We build the printers to make the chips
Yep.
in Wilton, ASML, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's and now we got completely
Yeah. Yeah.
sidetracked
We got
from
completely off.
from the from the from the
Shut down.
shutdown,
Yeah.
and let's tie this back to the shutdown. And this is the reason why and I know that we've kind of been rambling here, but this is the reason why the government shutdown matters, because states are individually um, are weak, but need the federal government to hold them together. And without the federal government basically redibit, I hate to say this word, redis,
Distributing.
the tax money and wealth towards whatever programs and making sure people are getting the things that they need, you would have real problems in this country real fast.
Yep.
And I hate to say this, we probably need to go back to the tax rates prior to World War II, and the rich is going to have the wealthy people in this country are going to have to start paying their fair share at some level if they want a secure country to conduct business in fairly and honestly, and make sure they're not getting cheated out on both ends. You
Yeah.
know, if the business deals are, you can no longer rely on a third party broker to arbitrate them, the government, that is fair and neutral because you're not paying them enough, then your business deals are no good and your corporation isn't worth anything at that point.
Yeah.
Um,
I
go look at other developing countries and you'll see this happen real quick.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Do I believe it happen?
I think it would be not as extreme as I'm describing it.
No, no, it won't be as extreme, but it won't we will never see the
I could
percent again.
I could see Tammany Hall being reestablished in New York City.
Yeah,
That's what we don't need, folks.
yeah,
You know, um, we don't need another situation like that being developed in this country. And that is what we're beginning to see developing. Political corruption that is a little bit more, hey, I need, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, back in the day, they would know who you were voting for because your paper ballots would be different colors.
yep. You know,
Okay.
it's we're getting
I
we are going down the road of getting back in a day when organized crime was rampant
Yep.
and
I don't, and maybe, and I think, and the government was smart, I think, in World War II when they used organized crime to help regulate the ports during wartime. But I think what there is always an element within America that's always been organized crime.
oh yeah,
But the real question is the give and take relationship of that.
yes,
Uh, and we, for the last prior to first Trump administration, there had been it was on a a downswing. There's been organized crime with drugs and alcohol, drugs in particular, but at some level, there's been a understanding between the government and organized crime. If you don't press our buttons too much, we won't press your buttons too much. And now we're beginning to see one side beginning to press the buttons a little too much, and it's turning to this cyclical cycle of who's going to race the bottom.
yep. And that again, this government shutdown is emboldening these organizations because nobody's making money. So
Right.
you want to make
Right.
money? Hey,
Hey, I'm not getting a paycheck. I can look the other way if you give me some money.
yep,
That's a problem.
yep,
That's part of the reason why our taxes are so high and we pay our civil service so well, is so that doesn't occur.
exactly.
And I know I've been kind of Darnell's been reeling me in here a little bit on my tirades about things. But this is something I feel strongly about, you know, and this is something that's not talked about too much, regardless of what side of the political spectrum you are. This is the critical type of thinking skills you need to engage in when you think about this type of stuff.
Yep.
You know,
What they say it's not the meta, it's the micro
right,
level you need to get down to.
right. And I think that's where, and we were talking about the government shutdown, and this is so, and we were initially saying how the Democrats need to grow a backbone, and this goes back to how they've grown a backbone about the health care insurance premiums.
Yep.
And they're getting Republicans that are the most extreme, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, to come on their side of the aisle on this issue. So I think the longer this drags out and people start screaming at these Republicans, they're going to have a lot to answer to.
Yep.
And I don't think um, the Republicans are going to really like the results of the midterms coming up. I don't think the Republicans are going to necessarily like the decisions of the Supreme Court coming up because what's good for the goose is good for the gander, as I like to put it.
Yep.
What happens when the Democrats get in control of the government for a long period of time? Oh, wait a second. The last time they had tariffs this high was during 1920s. Smooth Hawley. There was a big economic recession called the Great Depression. And what was the first four-term president elected? By what party, folks?
Yep.
Oh, FDR,
Yep.
Democrat. Oh, and that caused the Democrats to have control of the federal government for how many years?
Oh my goodness.
Not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40, not 50, 60 years. Okay, occasionally you got a Republican president in there like Dwight Eisenhower. Okay, not an anomaly there. They kind of screwed up with Richard Nixon a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you had Ford, which was an anomaly in himself, and then you had Jimmy Carter. And then really the Republicans kind of came back with finally, finally with Reagan, and even then he was kind of,
Reagan was a popular pick because he was a movie star.
yeah, and that's the only way they got themselves
Yeah.
back through the door.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. What is Trump?
Exactly.
A
Exactly.
washed up
Yeah.
reality television guy from New York City, where everybody hates him because he doesn't pay his contractors.
Nope.
Oh, gee whiz! What? This goes more over to the point. I don't think New York State had any interest in locking the guy up.
No.
They want his money for all the things that he's not paid
Everything for everything he did, they just want his money. They don't care about him going to jail for any amount of time.
They just want the money.
Yeah.
They want their tax money that he screwed them out of.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, on that one note, guess who he pardoned within the last couple of days?
Who's that?
Mr. Santos.
Oh yeah.
I think I see another New York case coming up on the front of the "We Want Our Money Back," Mr. Santos.
Yep.
Yeah. Even the Republicans in that state don't like him. That's generally what it comes down to New York State. They don't really care about what the Republicans and Democrats will eat their own, and they only care about the money in that state.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. They don't care. And I think the country's in for a rude awakening that the Northeast is about to make a political comeback.
Yeah.
It's
I,
people
the way this has been going,
People on Wall Street are
There's a
not happy,
change. Yeah, no.
and they're about ready. And I haven't seen them this not happy in a very long time. And when they're not this happy, they tend to make things happen.
See, they forgot they wanted the deregulation, but they forgot what happens when you have certain administrations in power.
I mark my words. I think Chris Murphy from Connecticut is going to be probably the top of the ticket.
I can see that.
And you might be questioning why this guy's from Connecticut. He's making a claim that look, Chris Murphy, highly educated from top Ivy League universities, even though it's not Yale. Um, well trusted by the New York City elite, knows how to fundraise, knows how to do it, knows how to. The former representative for the 5th Congressional District, which is borders New York State. I could honestly see him fairly well spoken. I could see him doing it. If the current governor of Connecticut was a little bit more younger, I could see
Yeah.
him doing it. Because he was in the television realm of Spears and before he was ran for governor, and is also from Stamford, Connecticut.
Yep.
I honestly think that's where it's going to come. I don't think Gavin Newsom's got a shot. He's a little aggressive, which is nice,
the
but I think you're going to be looking at a Democrat that's going to come out of the Northeast. I don't think you're going to be
Gavin
looking at.
Newsom, he's right now he's appealing to the progressives
Yep.
as far as fighting back and fighting fire with fire and making just doing what the Republicans are doing.
Right.
So, and that's the way of the
Yeah.
progressives,
Right.
not the establishment Democrats.
Yeah. And I don't think the establishment Democrats for the rest of the country understand how upset the Democrats are in the Northeast.
Yep.
And the Democrats in the Northeast, along with the Republicans in the Northeast, are about ready to put their money where their mouth is. And okay, let me give a good example of this. The odd couples are being made in Connecticut as we speak. The Democratic governor of Connecticut, Ned Lamont. Yes,
Yeah.
it's Ned
Ned
Lamont.
Lamont.
We had two so far.
Yeah.
It was Dan Malloy, then Ned Lamont.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it was a bunch of Republican governors,
Yeah.
which goes into state politics here about income tax and from the 90s. Okay.
Yep.
But who is the commissioner of the Department of Revenue Services in Connecticut right now? A Republican, Mark Bowen. Okay. They are making strange bedfellows in the northwest corner. They are making strange bedfellows in the I'm telling you,
Northeast.
I'm saying from my experience here, I see the Northeast beginning to get its backbone together and they're gonna do something. They're tired of being the let's fund the country and have to deal with the chaoticness of the country.
Yeah.
We build the nuclear submarines in Connecticut. We build the helicopters in Connecticut. Okay, we're done. I can see people are just done in the Northeast.
Yep.
You know, heck, in Danbury, they build a lot of the stuff that goes into the tanks.
Yep.
Okay. No, I think this is coming to a head now. Don't you agree, Darnell?
Yeah, I can see it. The people in the Northeast are, and I can say this. I've been out the Northeast for
Yeah, you used to
eight
live in Danbury,
years.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 8 years, and I seen it from even 8 years ago, they were making strange bedfellows
Yep.
because the politics, even in Danbury,
Yep.
Mark Boughton was mayor of Danbury for
How
a
many years?
years.
And he was a Republican. And the
He's
Republicans ran the city and they had full control of the city, but they knew better not to piss off the Democrats in the city because
exactly.
otherwise they would lose. It was the
Yep.
only city in Connecticut that was controlled by
That
Republicans.
that was the when Mark Boughton went to work for the Democratic governor. That was the only way they
He was
said,
moving up in
when,
government.
yeah, yep,
Yeah. So like I said, I think and where are the independent senators from?
yep,
Alaska, Vermont, and Maine.
yep,
Okay. There is something occurring in the Northeast in Alaska. We're tired of it. And I hate to say it, we're beginning to watch the political restructuring of the country.
yeah. I think it's
I know we talked about the government shutdown and this and that, but I know you wanted to cover one more topic, which is let's bomb the United States.
oh, this topic is just all right. Yeah, let's talk about that. This is just
I know.
administration just really wants to fire missiles into California.
Like I said, no money, but we're still spending it. And apparently, this is being done to videotape for a video on November 11th.
You know, I spent time in a field artillery unit. That's where we have the howitzers. They can fire 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 20 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen when one of them was off, the destruction of it. Because one unit that I'm not going to say the unit name, one unit that I was in,
That shall remain nameless.
yes, we were at Fort Fort Dix,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them got away. One of the howitzers rounds got away. That town made so much money suing the federal government. It was just devastation in that, and it was a small town
Yep.
because that's pretty much all you have around military bases, small towns. But still, it the devastation was horrendous. Now imagine if that's we had the small howitzers.
So imagine if the missile miss hit the I-5 and what would happen.
Yeah,
Now, does that explain why they closed the I-5 today?
yeah.
Yeah.
I've there's one. No, I'll leave this for another day. Uh, it,
I know this is kind of hard for you to talk about.
it's you're California. This isn't no Midwest country where there's land for miles and miles and miles.
It's Camp Pendleton, which is densely populated area.
Yes,
And once wrong move, you're probably talking how many hundreds of thousands of people being affected?
yes.
It's worse than some overseas operations that
I
we've been
mean,
in.
and people don't understand. It's one little number is off. One little.
are we talking like one decimal point, two decimal points, or to
Four or
the
five.
sort of hundreds of the thousands of it, which we're talking at that point, if you were kind of putting this into perspective, we're talking air probably less than one third the thickness of a human hair.
Yes.
Okay. And these troops are not currently being paid at some level. They're tired. They're being overworked. They're being probably what? Thrown into
Is
questionable legal orders, which means they're having to make their own decisions. And now you're asking them to make highly complex, detailed calculations.
it's different on a battlefield. Okay, your round went off out the way. Okay, yeah, next time. But this is a highly densely populated state.
Area. Yeah. It's asking to probably, no, it's about the equivalent of trying to make a bullet hit another bullet in midair in flight on the
Yes,
first shot.
yes,
You know, and as I know that you've done a lot of stuff. You were what, an Army Ranger at one point,
yes.
and done a lot of different things in precision military applications. And you understand probably better than most people that are talking heads out there, including myself. Um, what are the implications if something goes wrong? And I commend you for, and it's a hard burden to bear because you have a hard time explaining it.
Is I don't think even if you were in the military, if you weren't in one of these specialized units or in a like field artillery or anything that had to do with these long range projectiles, I'll call them, you wouldn't know the precision that goes in. Now, yes, we can hit a tank 15 miles away. Yes, we can do that. But can we?
Place a round down target and hit it within a dime's precision of where you want it to hit.
Yes. I
And
mean, it is
you got factors like Earth rotation, wind speed,
when you
gusts. You
now
got
this goes back to them
Noah at the
gutting
beginning of this
Noah,
movie.
like we started, gutting Noah.
Yep,
How are we going to know the weather conditions? The,
yep. Atmospheric density. Yeah. Oh, Darnell, this is the smallest uniform service. And what section of the government does it benefit?
I'm
Go
just
ahead, answer that question.
no, no. Because
No, you know exactly which one I'm talking about,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
I,
Noah Corps.
yep.
Yeah,
It's just,
most people don't even realize Noah has a uniformed military
oh yeah,
division.
oh yeah.
It's not armed, but it's there, and it could be called up into military service.
But they're gutting it. They,
I know, and there's not much we can do to stop it at this point. And I know I'm sorry for bringing it up. It's just kind of where you know, obviously where my undergrad's from, and my undergrad degrees in, so I kind of have a little bit more detailed information forefront when I think about this type of stuff. You know,
and then now they're gutting it and they want to fire these missiles into California.
yeah, it just not. something's going to go wrong eventually, and then people are going to be dead, and people are going to be asking a lot of questions.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I think that's where we're heading, and it's going to be a real problem.
It- uh,
On a lighter note,
whoever came up with this idea.
well, apparently it was probably somebody between a screwball and had a few screws loose.
Yeah.
Um, I think there was what a four-star general that just resigned in protests
Yep.
over Venezuela.
Yep.
Um, as we speak, folks, I think we could pretty much say the military is about ready to have a conniption.
They are no, I'm not.
What I mean conniption is, I mean by there's a lot of people that are about ready to start saying,
Yeah, well, I was
really?
gonna
No.
say something, but
You probably have more information that you can't talk about because of your
yeah,
connections.
yeah.
And I can get away saying these things because of the fact that don't know anybody in the military currently active other than my cousin that just got married in Minnesota. And I don't talk to him that often. And I know this retired guy called Darnell Carpenter that, but I can generally say with some certainty that I'm watching how the military is a slow moving institution and how fast they're moving on certain things at this point. It would be cause for concern.
Yeah.
Um,
You know,
as, as I would like to put it, Darnell, in the military, does tradition die hard?
listen, when my thing is the military is a place where you can't have loyalists.
Yep. Oh no, you have loyalists to the Constitution and to
Yes.
order. You don't have loyalists to leadership. They have loyalists to leadership, but they are loyal to the position, not necessarily the person.
Yes. Yes.
That's the reason why I think we have some hope in this country that the military will eventually do the right thing and say no.
Yep.
And when that happens, there's going to be a lot of questions asked by Congress.
See, like I can't talk about that.
So, how many JAG officers are working overtime nowadays, Darnell?
I'm not gonna.
A lot. All of them. I know you're kind of like, look, the facial expressions on Darnell right now are currently shaking his head. Can't talk about it because he knows too many people in the military. But I can continue to probe him and say these things, knowing to the fact that the um that basically my assumptions and what I'm talking about and kind of what most people are failing to realize in this country is that people are beginning to take notice. The people that normally do not get involved are beginning to say things quietly in their corners. And
Yeah.
that's the reason why some of the guests we probably have upcoming, possibly, Darnell, are people that you haven't heard before,
Yes.
but are the people you want to take advantage of listening to. Can we say,
They're the ones that
do we have some names that we can possibly mention?
no, no, they don't want me to say until they actually.
I no, I'm thinking of one in particular that we might have interviewed before on WXCI.
Yeah, yeah, that one
That
and
one,
a few more.
can we say that one person's name?
No,
Not yet. Okay.
said she, but it's
Yeah.
it's a she.
Um, it's a she. If you know anything about Connecticut and our background, you'll pretty much figure it out very quickly.
Yeah.
But I would say this: people are beginning to realize, and they're beginning to stand up in ways that and resist and start thinking and basically say and start dope slapping people and really question what are they thinking. And they're basically saying enough is enough. Am I basically coming to the right conclusion?
Yeah. What the military's, what I'm hearing is they're saying enough's enough when they started activating the National Guard.
Yeah,
But
that's another interesting topic in itself.
yeah, so I'm gonna just leave that there because, well, you know what? It's not, people are worried that they're activating the National Guard, but the National Guard is out there picking up trash,
Yeah.
and they're the National Guard cannot be a police force.
No, not under the current law.
No,
And
it's just like these, like the guys I know in the National Guard, they're like, yeah, sure, activate me. I can get paid. Well, not that the federal government's locked down now. They're like, hey, I
yeah,
can
we'll get paid.
get paid
Yeah,
to go
eventually.
pick up some trash and sit around and do nothing.
Yeah, sure, great. Great use of our taxpayer money too, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this. I think Connecticut may have an ace in the hole when it comes to that. You and I were talking about this before when we were first kicking around this idea. Connecticut actually has a state militia still.
Yep.
And I believe it's the only state in the union that has an actual state militia. It's a ceremonial unit, but technically it meets the definition of the Second Amendment.
Yep. Yep.
So it's not part of the National Guard system. So it will take an act of Congress to commandeer it. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I just I think we're all kind of batting around, and you should tune in next time we release an episode.
Yep.
Hopefully, we'll be doing this regularly,
Yeah. We'll put them out regularly.
probably once a week. We don't know when, but
Yeah.
we'll keep you guessing when we're going to actually release one. But we're going to try to release one at least once per week, maybe two.
Yeah. Two, if the news is
It's good,
good.
or crazy enough for us
Yeah.
to. But until then, I think we got a lot of things to cover and
Oh,
move
yeah.
on. And I hope that you, everyone that's listening, makes the time to reflect in their own way about what's going on and what they can do in their own way to um, make their voices heard. It doesn't have to be calling your representative, texting, writing them, though those are generally pretty good things to do, or volunteering on campaigns or stuff. Political violence is not the answer, as some people have thought that might be.
Yeah, no.
I think, getting involved right now in Connecticut, we have a crisis of volunteer firefighters. We don't have enough of them.
Yep.
Uh, Go join something like that, you know? Um, if and take part in your civic duty, whether it's through government or through organizations like volunteer fire departments or volunteer ambulance services. It's not just one thing, it's everything that makes a community go.
Yep.
When the government is shut down, it really falls onto the local government and the state governments to actually make things go. And times are going to get tough here. And
Yeah.
as much as this podcast is kind of satirically named, What Are You Thinking? For everybody that's making lousy decisions right at the moment. But what can you do in your life to correct your thinking and make your community a better place? I will say
That's
this.
actually where we should start.
Yeah.
where the American people should start in your neighborhood
Yeah.
and then work your way out.
You can work both at the same time, but you really should be as an individual first. Maybe a good analogy to this is, do you piss off your neighbors?
Yep.
Your property. If you're living in an apartment, do you piss off the person that lives next door to you? Probably not, for the sake of you try to get along. If you're living in a single family house and you have property and you have people that are right on top of you, you probably don't want to do that. Why did we do that to Canada? Why did we do that to Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay. We only share two borders, land borders with two countries. Why did we piss them off? You know, and these are the questions that you have to really be thinking about. And you go and you say, you stop yourself, what are they thinking? Pissing off the two people, two countries that share a land border with, you know?
Yep.
This is, I just, for everybody that's out there, stop and think for a moment before you do something. You know, you don't need to be the satirical cartoon at the end of the day where everybody's getting pointing fingers at you and laughing at you because you did something stupid because you didn't stop and think for a moment. And the culture that we have today, where you screw, you can, text on your phone and hit send right away, and not stop and think about what that's going to mean before you hit the send button. I think that's something you need to consider. And it's a lot of times why they say, okay, write that email, but don't send it when you're mad. Come back to it and write it a
Yep.
few hours later. And I think in the world that we live in today, everybody wants to know now. You know what I mean? What's going on? And that's not how the military functions, right, Darnell?
No.
That's not how government was designed to function.
No.
And people complain about why does it take the government so long to do anything? Because it was designed that way.
There's so many checks and balances with everything in the federal government.
Not even federal government, your state and
Government.
town,
Yeah.
county governments.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't have a really good idea about county governments because we don't have them. That's another thing for another show. And we also don't have sheriffs in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Which means all the policing in Connecticut is done by civil servants, and you have to take a civil service exam, which means that we generally don't have as much problems as some other states.
Yeah.
Maybe they should take a page out of our book. Um, just saying.
Right.
But I think Darnell, is there any final words you want to say?
Just what's the word I'm looking for? Just be present.
Present, yeah.
Just be present. And
Yeah.
that's all I can say. Just
We don't need to see you as being Florida Man of the Week.
yeah.
I see a lot of people, they get enraged and they just think out of hand for a moment. And if you can stop and think through the process and the implication that what you're going to have, I think that's really can be quite valuable for the average person.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't like where the parties are going, go to the local party meeting. If you're a registered Democrat, go to the local party meeting. If you're a registered Republican and you don't like where the Republicans are going, go to the local Republican meeting. Vote in the primaries. Vote in every chance you have.
That's what we're missing. A lot of people don't get out for these primaries and go vote in the primaries.
And people don't vote in their municipal elections. We're about to have one in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And most people can't tell you what those boards and commissions do, and they don't realize they have a lot more power over you than they realize than the federal government does.
Yep.
Planning and zoning commissions, they can tell you what you can and cannot build on your property,
Hey,
including what signs you can put up.
yep.
Okay. Um, the zoning boards of appeals, they can make variances. You know, board of selectmen or whatever they call themselves in the South. I don't know what they would call. In New England, we had the board of selectmen style government, which is a panel of five, three people with a first selectman. You know, am I about right, Darnell?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know what they do in Florida or other states. I really don't. But they have more say and power over certain things than most people realize. You
Yep.
know, your local property tax controlled by them. What your properties deemed how valuable
Yeah.
is controlled by
Valuable.
them. You
Yep.
know that take your mill rate times your property value, and there's your property tax. Don't get confused by, oh, we got the lowest mill rate. Yeah, I got the lowest mill rate, but I got the highest property tax, the highest
Exactly.
property value, and now I got the highest property tax. So yeah, so you know, I, it, I don't think a lot of people understand this concept until they own a
No.
piece of property.
But I think people are actually one thing I can thank this administration for. People are waking up and learning, getting to know more,
About the local government and how
yeah,
it
in
functions.
politics.
And I think that's ironically, in a most perverse way, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Um, but it's almost how NATO's coming back together because of, perversely, he's threatened to pull out of it. And then all of a sudden, Europe gets their act together,
Yeah.
with Canada. Um, and then all of a sudden it makes the United States look bad. Like, we're doing everything you asked, and now you're still threatening. And then it's like, okay, you
Yeah.
know, um,
All right. So next
until next,
time, we'll come up with some more topics.
yeah, I think this will be an ongoing podcast of my ranting and ratings and Darnell's commentary on my ranting and ratings. And then Darnell will have ranting and ratings, and I will comment on his things. And Darnell seems to be more of the sane, logical one here compared to me sometimes. Although I might be a raging Connecticut Democrat slash person from the Northeast and making bold predictions about people that you never heard of in national politics. I, but I don't like Darnell says, the Northeast is on the verge of, with me, is on the verge of putting the boot down. You know, their foot down, and you need to be aware of this as a rest of the country.
Yep. All
So
right.
until we meet again,
For your
happy
comments, tell us what you want to
here and,
on. Yeah.
if this is on a platform where you can click and subscribe. And if you think I'm wrong, dead wrong, tell me I'm dead wrong. But make sure you back it up with some pieces of
Yes.
information.
Yes. And some
And
facts.
and at least be able to cite some sources.
Yes.
You know, I'm going to say this: academic papers are kind of nice, even if you think they're trash, because at least you can go back and actually look up sources and get back to primary resources.
Yep. All
So
right. Good
until then,
discussion. Until then, we'll
what were you
say,
thinking?
yeah. All right.
Cut.